What the Surf podcast. We are back, episode 7. Shelley Beach sensation from Mingers. People who don't know about Mingers, we'll talk about Mingers a little bit later on. But Brad Woodward, one-time Olympian, welcome to the show, mate. It's such a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, so we've got a lot to unpack tonight about your journey, and I would like to start, along with everyone else, Shelley Beach Nipper, probably one of the most, how should we put it nicely, it's dangerous. It's pretty rough there. Talk us through being a young nipper and then learning all the skills that got you to, I guess, have that love of the ocean as a young child.
Yeah, it's probably a funny one. I mean, I probably as a young age was a bit scared of the ocean. But yeah, Shelley Beach, obviously, it's not the roughest beach in the world, but like it's certainly pretty open and, we get some swell in there. So, my dad's been a member there since the 80s or something. He's a life member now. So I think for me, it was just a bit of a rite of passage. I just got taken down at 5 years of age and joined up to the Nippers. And thankfully at that stage, I think we were just doing the sprint and flags and wade. And I wasn't particularly good at any of them. But yeah, just kind of did that. And my dad was the age manager, which I probably wasn't too thrilled about either. But yeah, like just slowly got in and, learned to do everything, learned the skills. And, I think slowly you go along, and as you get older, you start to, enjoy getting out in the surf and, learning all those new skills and getting out on the board. And, I think my love went from there. I've always been pretty competitive. So I think, that aspect's always kept me in the sport. But yeah, certainly a love for the ocean, love for the water, kind of helped there.
Yeah. So on the weekends when you weren't at the beach, no doubt you would have been swimming at Mingara Aquatic Centre, which is what we were referring to earlier. Mingers for the locals, Mingara for the others. A lot of laps following that black line over the facilities there.
Yeah, definitely. I was probably at heart really always a swimmer over surf life saving. My big thing was always I wanted to make the Olympics. So, for me, that pathway was swimming. But yeah, definitely lots and lots of sessions. I was there from, I guess, 11, 12 years of age. You're there 8, 9 times a week. And then on top of that, you're doing swim carnivals so often. So every second weekend, you're at the pool, whether it's down at Sopak or at Mingara doing a competition. And then, on the weekends off, you're doing surf carnivals. So, it was pretty good. I mean, I think I'm super lucky in that the two sports kind of complement each other. Like it wasn't like I was doing a land sport and swimming, like, and you're doing two whole different loads. Like, you can just swim and then do, 1 or 2 board sessions on top and, you're pretty much set. And, once I got a bit older, yeah, a little bit of ski and, you're pretty good. So I was pretty lucky in that aspect. And I think just having the difference between the two probably just, kept me a bit more grounded and, just enjoying both sports rather than just kind of getting caught up in doing one.
Yeah, we talk about different pathways through the surf life saving. I was going through some of the annals and looking at the different results. I saw that would have been a state titles Ironman silver, I believe you would have got with Dan Collins in front of you. So that was the age group you grew up with?
Yeah, so Dan's age group in front of me. So yeah, I was, I think, 17s and 19s. Yeah. So he was top age 17s. I was bottom age 17. So yeah, it was a funny one that year. I actually got second to him at state, and then we're actually in a run up the beach at Aussies at Scarborough for the gold medal. And I think I was a little bit in front. I was about half a meter in front with about 5 meters to go, and I fell over, and Dan got the gold and I got the silver. So. We had a bit of a, I guess, back and forth that year in the irons. I'll be honest, Dan probably got me more times than I got him, but yeah, no, it was a pretty awesome age group to be in. With, we've got a few boys now that are in the series, and I think looking back, having a more competitive age group was definitely probably a bit of a blessing. You get to the older guys and get in the opens, and I think having that competitive age group, just makes it a bit easier to race once you get to the opens.
Yeah, most definitely. And competition is that thing too. So having your local carnivals, obviously being, I guess, such a strong swimmer from such a strong age group, you probably would have loved getting to those bigger carnivals to have that extra bit of fire and getting that push from, the guys that you're trying to chase.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I was super competitive as a young kid. I think some of the guys that are a bit older than me, at Shelley and Mingara could probably attest to that. I probably wasn't the nicest to be around all the time, just chasing everyone. But that's definitely right. Having competitive age group, you're getting to state and Aussies, and you kind of fired up to race everybody, and it's always kind of a fun thing. And looking back now, at the time I was probably super nervous about it and wish that I didn't quite have the competitive age group, and maybe it was a bit easier. But certainly now, like I look back on that and I'm like, oh, it's so awesome. Because I had a very similar thing in swimming. Our age group now at open level's gone quite well, and I think every year you're almost like, you're not looking at the long term, you're looking at the short term. Like, I want to win state, I want to win national. So I think having that higher benchmark in your age group is always just going to set you up from, training perspective, racing perspective to be, aiming high.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess on the flip side, with your swimming there as well, you've always got something that's measurable. So you're watching that clock after every race, checking your splits, making sure that I guess you're executing the plan. But then on the other side, where you've got your surf, you've got you've got the conditions, you've got like tripping in the sand, waves, things like that. So was that something that led you more to the pool where actually everything that you did, you're 100% accountable for without any variance?
I think so. I mean, I guess it was different at different times. I kind of love doing the board and the ski. Like, I hated turning up, to flat water, because I was like, well, to be honest, all of them I hated turning up to flat water. But, especially the board and ski, because I'm like, I was never going to win a board or a ski race once we got to state and Aussies. But like, if there's a bit of surf or something, all of a sudden there's a few variables in there. So I think I really liked that component for someone that's like, I knew where I sat in those disciplines. Probably the swim and Ironman, like it's a funny one because I did like the surf because actually, when it's dead flat, everyone can sit on your wash. But if there's a bit of surf, you can get under the waves and kind of dolphin kick away a little bit. But um, it was very much like, you have a chance of winning just, straight up kind of thing. So how the conditions were didn't bother me too much. I just wanted to get in there and, hope that you can get to the front and, no one gets a wave from you. So I certainly think there's a component of both. Like, I did like the sheer brutal, like in the swimming pool, you just go, whoever's best on the day has the best physiology wins. But I certainly did like that factor of, what, I might not be best on the day, but I can still win the race. So I kind of like the aspect of both. And I think that's why I love both sports, was because, you got a bit of both.
Yeah. All right. So transitioning into, I guess, the pool, at what point did you, I guess, put everything away to say all the eggs are in that one basket? We're going to go for the Olympics. So noting this year, it was what, 10 years worth of hard work to try and get your first Olympic cap, and you finally did it this year for Paris.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was always a really funny one because I always knew I would eventually pick swimming, but I didn't really know when. And I think it was almost hard to come away from surf because it's something that I was like really enjoying and like still doing pretty well in. And, it's almost like, why would I give this up when, I'm still in that kind of situation, but knowing at some point you'd have to. And I think for me, the one thing that ended up breaking it was, I think my last ever Aussies, it was like 2016. And after Aussies, it was like, oh, sorry. No, I didn't do Aussies that year. So I did 2016 Olympic trials. And then I had about 3 days until Aussies or something. And I came home, was just doing a few board starts and ended up breaking my ankle on the
Training?
way in. And yeah, training. Like, I was just literally just by myself, and I was real filthy with myself because it was like I'd screwed up one board start. So I did one more. So I was like, oh, I just want to get it right and then I'll go home. And then, yeah, just gone in, broke my ankle. Couldn't go to Aussies, obviously. Um, and yeah, basically from there it was like, oh, I think that's it. That's like the sign for me. No more surf. I'll just do swimming now. And yeah, basically went from there. I think that was in year 12. So at the end of year 12, I just contacted my coach that I've got now. And I was like, oh, listen, can I come down and, do a few sessions and trial out? And, it all kind of went from there. So I don't know how it would have gone if I hadn't have broken my ankle, whether I would have, still finished off that year. But yeah, for me, it just ended up being this like sign of, I'm done now. That's it.
Yeah. And always been a strong backstroker. So at some point along the lines, we had the World Games 2017, young fella represented Australia. Then backed that up again for the ALS team 2019 in Germany, where you set the world record in the 200 obs, which actually still stands today. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. 2017, I think that was like a cool period of like I had just joined my new squad, and had like really made some good gains in the pool. Probably like just fully prioritizing swimming. So even though I hadn't done a lot of pool rescue, like my swimming had just gone forward in leaps and bounds. So all of a sudden I've like turned up to, World Games pool rescue. I'm way stronger than ever before. I'm carrying the mannequin way better. My underwaters have improved, so my obs were better. So it was actually like pretty awesome. I got to go there with like very limited training, but yeah, I was just in a better position and was kind of lucky enough to come away with that, with a few medals. So like won the 200 obs over a pretty stacked field, and then I think I might have medaled in the 50 mannequin carry, which, if you asked me the year before, I think at Worlds like I just scraped into the semi final. So it was pretty cool to do that. And yeah, then obviously 2019, by that stage I thought I'd pretty much finished with surf. Really had no intention of kind of going back. I guess was made my first Australian Open swim team and was kind of like, oh well, at least until I'm finished with swimming, probably won't come back to surf. But then I just happened to be over at a World Cup in Doha, I think, and yeah, the surf team was like, oh well, why don't you jump over and come do the German Cup? So I was like, pretty much jumped straight on that because I love being on those Australian surf teams. They're so much fun. Everyone on the team's just so good to get around, and I think because it's quite a small team, like it is just such a good environment. And yeah, anyway, just yeah, jumped over there and jumped in a few events, and yeah, was lucky enough to come away with the world record in the 200 obs. Wasn't really expecting it, and to be honest, when I finished, I didn't even realize either. Like I kind of couldn't see the scoreboard. So I like finished and I was like, oh, okay, I think I won it and got out and, walked over to the head coach at the time and he's like, oh, congrats, like broke the world record and everything. I was like, oh, like just zero concept.
I would have
Um,
celebrated a little bit more. Yeah. Wow.
yeah. And so that was awesome. And then we actually ended up breaking, I think we broke the 4x50 obs relay about 10 minutes later, the world record for that as well. I don't know if it ever got ratified because I think someone had broken it like a week before, but that one hadn't been ratified yet. So I
Uh,
don't know whether we actually ended up holding it, but at the time we broke the world record. So that was pretty cool, like within 15 minutes, breaking that world record and then, getting up with the boys and Jimmy Kosh, obviously, also a Shelley Beach boy at the time.
yep.
We're both part of that relay. So that was a, yeah, pretty awesome experience.
It's probably one thing people don't realize about surf life saving is that it's not just about the surf in the sand. The world of pool rescue is at that international level. And can you talk us through like how fast that sport has evolved? I guess through the European nations.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I think the pool rescue's always potentially got a bit of a bad rap at an Australian level. And I won't lie, like when I was younger, before I'd started doing it, I was kind of like, oh, it's probably not quite as competitive as the surf stuff. And I think at a domestic level, that is right. I think the surf stuff is way more competitive, and I think the pool rescue stuff maybe doesn't quite have that depth. But once you get to an international level, like the Europeans, that's what they do. You see them compete at a nation versus nation level. The world's coming up, obviously, and they can all carry a mannequin. They can all swim under an obs. They can all swim with fins, but none of them can really paddle a ski. So I think at an international level, it is super competitive, and I think when I was probably late, 2018, 2019, the Germans really had a bit of a stranglehold on a lot of the mannequin events and stuff, and some of those boys were very big, very strong, and I think they certainly kind of pushed the sports forward, and you just watch the German nationals kind of compete and stuff, and all these world records be falling, and you're like, oh my god, like I can't believe they're going that quick. So it is awesome just to see it like evolving and the times dropping so quickly, and even now, I have a look every now and then, and there's still people, absolutely destroying world records, and so it's pretty cool to see like a sport like that, just especially with so much skills. Like there's so many things that can be developed, so there can be so many innovations. So I think it's a pretty cool sport, and I certainly think at an international level, it really holds its own as like a very competitive, competition.
Yeah, we talk about different variations and trying to get the best out of your technique. I'm not too sure if this is true or not, but back in the day, you were the king of the underwater with fins, basically on your back. Has that been outlawed now, and you can only go on your side? or not?
Oh, I'm not. To be honest, I never went on my back. I actually, with fins, quicker on my front. There's a few weird little innovations going on, and I think there's probably more that have been, come in since I've been around. I think I was talking to Tom Simpson, one of my mates from
Yeah,
Shelley Beach,
still going
a
around.
little while ago, and he was telling me a few things that they were doing now in the pool. I was like, oh, geez, you guys have, gone and way past what I was doing. Yeah, no, certainly. I used to love the 50 meter with fins. Unfortunately, I couldn't carry the mannequin particularly well with fins, so that kind of ruled out a few events. But no, I certainly love the 50 underwater with fins. Back when I swam, and I was pretty devastated. It was never an event at the World Champs.
Maybe one day it's going to build to that. Now, I know a lot with the touring teams. Gary Mensforth was singing your praises, noting that he sat next to you on many a plane trip as your chaperone as such, and Jenny Parry, who I've done a lot of commentary with, been on a lot of tours. And I'm actually going to pay homage to the Australian lifesaving team because Jenny looked after me. So I've been donning my bus or singing it for the last few. But tonight, we are
Oh,
in how good this.
wow.
We are in the Australian life saving one piece. So yeah, the pool action's on. I know the Shelley Beach guys. Dan Kingsley broke a record yesterday for some masters, and then I guess moving forward, can you foresee? I guess swimming wise, you've got work and what have you. Can we entice you back to some pool rescue events possibly?
Well, I mean, first of all, you were looking very good in that one piece.
It's not very
Pretty
comfortable.
quick. No, I couldn't imagine, but anyway. Um, but no, definitely we'll see. I mean, I still have a few years swimming left, I think. For me, I think a few years ago, probably wasn't quite enjoying swimming as much as I had, but like the last few years really have, you know, kind of, I wouldn't say turn a corner, but, I think I've really found a good balance between doing that, doing uni, having, a personal life. And so, I really, really enjoy the sport. And, obviously Olympics didn't go quite as planned, but in the last 12 months, I've PB'd in all my events. So, I'm not going back, like I'm still PBing and stuff and I'm still enjoying it. So I'm like, oh, I may as well just keep swimming. I'm not going to get another chance. I can't step away for 4 years and then be like, oh yeah, I'll come back. It'll be too late. So
Well,
yeah, I definitely think a few more years swimming, and then after that, you might see me return to the sport.
Well, that was probably what I wanted to touch on because I wasn't too sure if we were going to tread on eggshells or anything like that. So let's talk through the Paris campaign. So, made your first team, all the glitz and glamours there. You're in the village, you're checking out the pool, and then you rock up to your first event that you've, I guess, worked your whole life to get towards. What was that experience like now reflecting, on your 100 meter and your 200 back?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a hard one. Obviously, making the team was pretty awesome. I actually had about 3 weeks out, I got food poisoning and was out of the water for about a week. So yeah, like I think 2021 Olympic trials had a bit of a shocker. Had a throat infection and missed the team. Was just pretty unwell and unfortunately didn't quite get there. And I think this time everything had been going really really well. I'd been having a really good season. PB'd in my two back in December and all of a sudden 3 weeks out, I'm out of the water for a week and was like, oh geez, is this history repeating kind of thing? But I think super lucky. I've been with my coach for years now, so I think he knew how to manage that pretty well, and kind of knew at this stage, all we can really do is recover and try our best, and I ended up turning up. I wouldn't say I was underdone, but yeah, probably could have had a little bit more training. But I think luckily enough, I hit my taper pretty well, and made that team. It was super exciting. Then we were straight about 5 days later on the plane over to France, and
Mhm.
the whole campaign was like pretty awesome. We had a really good 4 week training camp in Cannes, like the south of France. Really enjoyed that. Got really good training in. Then went to Chartres, which we've been there before for Com Games, and same thing. Awesome pool, awesome complex, and then kind of like got into the Olympic Village. Obviously, it's a bit of time away, but that was. It was a funny experience because it was like so awesome to be there, be in the village. Obviously the first time I've been to an Olympics, see how big it is. Same time, like obviously a little bit overwhelming.
Yeah.
Because I think you get there, the rooms are pretty small. Like you get a massive like two bags full of stuff, which is super exciting. But at the same time, I'm a bit probably a little bit perfectionist kind of thing.
Isn't that the swimmer in
So,
you?
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I think most of us have it, so we all felt it. But like you got to unwrap every single little piece. Kind of like try and pack everything up and sort everything out, and then you're trying to get to the buses for the first time. You're trying to get to the pool. The dining hall. I think a lot of people know like it was not exactly probably to the standard that we were expecting. So it was like as exciting as it all is. It certainly was like certainly the first day or two, you're a bit like, oh my God, like this is huge, like just getting used to it. But I think once you saw the pool, like, and saw the stadium and the facilities there, that was so awesome. And, getting to walk out for the 100 back for the first time, made sure, you look up, look at the crowd. And unfortunately, never got a night swim, which, a bit of a shame. But, the fact that it was basically a sold out stadium for the heats was pretty cool. And it was so loud. And I think both the 100 and 200, I had a French guy in
Yeah.
my heat, so that was pretty cool. Like they were yelling for him, and obviously, yeah, well, it wasn't quite the races I probably wanted to put together, and that's it's a tough one because I think people are like, oh, it's neither here nor there kind of thing. Like you got to the Olympics, you got to swim, and you're like, oh well, that's all well and good. Like I that was always my goal to be an Olympian, but certainly I think the work I'd put in, for the last 2 years and probably, specifically, in the last block or the last few blocks, it's probably hard to see that as the result and be like, well, geez, why did I even bother? Like, probably almost would have been better off the 4 weeks before, just, swimming through easy, and I probably would have turned up and, gone the same times. But, at the end of the day, like, it's tough and you look back on it and, I do want to get back in the water and, you know, um, yeah, try and like get the results that I probably thought I deserved. But yeah, at the same time, I think sometimes you just got to put it in perspective. And there's very few people that get to live out their Olympic dreams and actually go out in front of that crowd. And I mean, even the guys, if you went to one and went to Tokyo, you didn't even get that crowd. So I think I just need to count myself lucky that yeah, it was not the Olympics I was hoping for, but at the same time, I got to experience the whole thing. I got to be in that stadium. The last 4 days, I got to be up in the stands, cheering on some of my best mates to, Olympic medals. So, yeah, that's an awesome experience. It's like that's something no one can take away from you. So, at the end of the day, I think you just need to hold my head high and just be thankful that I got that experience.
So you've got a couple of weeks off now. You said you basically got the flu straight off the plane, now into placements, studying to be a physio. So how much longer have you got left with your degree?
Currently about 8 and a bit weeks,
Wee.
which is pretty exciting. Yeah, had to hold the last 10 weeks till after the Olympics. But yeah, so I got a few weeks off. I'll probably slowly come back and do my own thing while I'm on placement. Unfortunately, physio placement is not really something you can full-time swim around. So I think, I'll just do a little bit of gym, my own swimming, maybe get into a little bit of running until I injure myself inevitably. But
Hey, no board starts, please. Just keep it to the track.
no, certainly not doing any board starts. I don't even know if I can go on a board still. I haven't been on one for about a year and a half, but yeah, just slowly get back into swimming. There's no rush for me. I think, I'd love to be on the world champs team next year, but that's in, trials are probably June next year. So I've got plenty of time to get back into the swing of things. And so, at the moment, the goal is just to get through placement and get my degree done. And then, hopefully maybe find a little bit of work and strike up a little bit of balance between, working and swimming and see how that goes.
Yeah, because I'm assuming that word balance probably wasn't used too much in the last probably five years or so in your life.
No, definitely not. I think I got really lucky with the way I kind of did my physio. Like I did do a lot of it full time, and I was probably super lucky. My uni was pretty good with that. But yeah, I think how it's all kind of worked out. Like I did the last 2 years pretty much full time, then was able to just leave a little bit of placement for the end here. And had I been year either way kind of thing, might have ended up in a little bit of trouble as far as the Olympics. So yeah, super lucky with how it all kind of worked out and that kind of thing. But yeah, certainly the last 6 months, not a lot of balance. It's been pretty much just been swimming head down and go, and which is super fun. But yeah, I certainly don't think that's something that I could do forever.
Now, keeping along with the Olympic theme, if you weren't an Olympian swimmer, what sport could have you possibly made it to the Olympics in, or would have you liked to have represented Australia at the Olympics?
Oh, two very different answers. I can't run, so athletics would certainly be straight out of the no way on earth I could do that. I think I actually didn't mind ski paddling when I was a bit younger. Probably was a bit unlucky. Was hadn't quite grown enough yet for the ski at that stage. I was probably still about 5'6" and 60 kilos when I was jumping on the ski, but a bit bigger now. So I'd probably say if there was one, my next best chance of making it probably would have been kayaking. I don't think I would, but that'd be my next best chance. What I would have liked to make it in is definitely golf.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
a good golfer, but love golf. So yeah, I wish I was over there with Min Woo Lee, but unfortunately not.
Geez, that would have been good. So do you get to get out in the links much at all? Do you get to swing a club often?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm a member at Shelley Beach Golf Club, so that's across the road from
Yes, I know
my
that course
parents'
well.
house. So I go back there. Probably most weekends to be honest. So there is certainly a stage in the year where I'm getting out on the course probably twice a week.
Oh, you lucky man.
Um, yeah, but the last probably 3 or 4 months, probably avoided it. There's been a few golfing injuries amongst the swimming population. Um,
Well, yeah. Let's unpack. How? What?
just yeah, a few people swinging clubs too hard.
When it's especially
Anyway,
at Shelley
that's
Beach when it's
neither
breezy, it's
here
pretty
nor there.
easy. Yes. So what's your
Yeah.
handicap at the moment then? What are you down to?
Oh, good question.
You don't have to tell us if
Don't
you don't want
actually
to.
play that much comp. No. It is lower than it should be. I'd say if I had a handicap, I should probably be low 20s or something. It's currently at about 17 or something, but I'm not not that that's good, but I'm worse than that. Yeah, I would say if I was to guess, it'd probably be like 23 or something is where I should be off.
Well, at least you're honest. All right, so Atlanta. Oh no, we got LA 4 years away, but you said world champs next year. So what does the next 3 months look like for you? Noting that actually that's not going to be Christmas, isn't it? So what's the plans for your next 12 to 14 weeks?
Yeah, for me, just like finish off placement. Like I said, I think it'll be if by the end of placement I can just be in a stage where I can kind of just jump back in with my squad. I'll be happy enough, and then I really think till the end of the year is just kind of getting back to a base level of fitness. I know for me, I don't need to rush back into things. I think it's always the hard one is like you think that you don't need any rest. Um, but I think like you always look back on seasons, you're like, oh, you know what, actually, 3 or 4 weeks would have probably done me well. So um, I think for me, yeah, it's just a slow, gradual build back into it. And then I think from the start of the year, it's, back onto it and, trying to strike up that new balance of working and swimming. But yeah, I'll certainly be getting straight back into it, from January onwards, I think.
Yeah, exciting times, exciting times. Now, another question I like to ask: when you've got some spare time, who are you taking out for dinner, and where are you going, and what type of meal are you eating?
Oh, geez. Probably depends. There's a couple of guys in my squad. I guess I don't mind going for a meal with. I'll eat anything to be honest. Oh, I won't eat seafood. I actually not a big lover of seafood. Um, yeah, I know people always think that's a bit weird, but yeah, fish are friends, not food.
That's true.
That's not the
That could be a
reason why.
quote
I
from a
just don't
movie.
like
Yeah.
it. Yeah, but oh, Italian or maybe ribs, I'd say would be the two. But yeah, certainly a few guys in the squad. There's probably a few guys from Brizzy that are on the team that I don't mind going out with. Unfortunately, don't get to see them too much, and probably my family as well, to be honest.
Yeah. So yeah,
Um,
I guess living in Sydney, you wouldn't see them too much. So like, can we just talk through about the support they've been able to give to you? I guess as a young child through until a point now where mum and dad are on TV crying at the national selection when you've finally made your first Olympics. Emotional scene.
yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. I mean, I wish I was still living at home. That's certainly not the reason I moved out. I moved out because I had to go to Sydney for swimming. But yeah, no, I still go back to be honest most weekends because I like getting back. Probably don't get to the beach as much as I wish I did anymore. Usually I kind of get back on the Saturday. I'm too tired to do anything. But my sister has I got a little niece and nephew now, so love going back, spending a bit of time with them. Seeing mum and dad, seeing my grandparents, but. Certainly growing up, all of them were so instrumental, in the support they gave to me. My dad basically gave up golf for 6 years so he could go to Saturday sport. And, he was, like I said, he was a life member of Shelley Beach. So he was there, all my surf carnivals, handling for me, trying to give me advice that I probably didn't listen to, but probably should have listened to. Um, Driving me in the morning. Same with my mum, she was there for every single carnival. They were, yeah, every single morning, there was never any, oh, I don't want to take him, I don't want to take him. Both of them right there, waking up at 4:45 and taking me to swimming. And, obviously as I've gotten older and I've, gone to Sydney, they can't, help quite as much, but, they're always there for support and encouragement. And, I don't think they've ever missed an international meet that I've swam in or a national meet that I've swum in. They're always there in the crowd and, love being a part of it. So I think it's pretty nice to have that support there. They weren't swimmers or, elite athletes themselves or anything, but, I think they've always just enjoyed being there and enjoyed supporting me. And certainly there's never been any pressure to do anything. And I think that's probably part of the reason why I've, really enjoyed the sport growing up, because there was never any pressure coming from home to, do this or do that or, you know, come in this spot. I think my dad would love me to jump in 100 butterfly, and that's about the only pressure I get. I think he misses the day I do butterfly. I don't really know why.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's never been any pressure there. And, I think for them, they rode that wave with me when I missed, Tokyo in 2021. And, so I think that was part of it. Mum was obviously a bit emotional, when I qualified, and, same with my dad. And I think it wasn't so much just me qualifying for the Olympics. I think it's just, they knew how much work I'd put in and, had seen me kind of miss the last one. So I think, yeah, it was just a little bit of that, finally, just happy for me that I made it kind of thing rather than, anything from them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, 100% it does. As a parent, I know exactly where you're coming from. But yeah, really, it's a poignant message coming from you that, there was no pressure from the parents. As long as you're enjoying it, had a smile on your face, just get into it. So I think a lot of Nipper parents out there in the ether can take a lot from that. So really nice that you've been able to articulate that so clearly about what's important. Now, looking back on you now as a 26-year-old, what would you tell your 9 or 10-year-old self, on the beach on a Sunday morning at Nippers, looking back now?
I think probably one is like maybe enjoy myself a little bit more. Like I said, there was never any pressure from my parents, but certainly I lumped a lot of pressure on myself. So I think, from a very young age, I was just like, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to be, I guess I didn't really know at the time, but like, need to be professional, I need to be, resting after my races. And meanwhile, everyone else in my age group was off,
Building sandcastles,
mucking around.
six.
Yeah, 100%. And like, at the time it was like, oh my God, I can't be doing that. I need to be focusing on my racing. But I think, looking back and just go have some fun, like go enjoy it. Like I probably would have raced better if I was off enjoying myself as opposed to, locked in from, that age. So I think enjoy myself, and then probably, maybe just a little bit of patience. I was trying to be, the next best thing from, 9 years of age or whatever. Like, do you know what I mean? You're like off there just trying to do the absolute best you can, and not try to do that. But I think, just if I had just been like, oh, sweet, I'll just enjoy this carnival, go through the motions. And, if you win, you win. If you come fifth, you come fifth. If you come last, you come last. And, I think just have a bit of patience that, if you do want to be an elite athlete, that's not coming from, what you're doing at 9 or 10 years of age. That's coming from, what you're doing at 18, 19 kind of thing. So I think if I just had a bit more patience and was like, oh, I'll just enjoy myself here rather than, trying to, be as good as I can at that age. Yeah, I think, probably would have, I still enjoy the sport, but like I probably at 18, 19 years of age, probably would have enjoyed it even more.
Yeah, so good. All right, Brad, beautiful words. Thanks for joining us for episode 7, What the Surf podcast. Shelley Beach's finest, Central Coast Sand Crabs representative, New South Wales state rep, and Australian lifesaving member. And again, we are repping this really tight. It is so tight. Thanks for having us, mate. We'll be watching your future with bated breath to see, what transpires for the young 26-year-old. Thanks for joining us.